Hello, welcome to Greenwood Bonsai Studio today. We've had a busy schedule recently. It's the middle of November. We've got a lot of trees that have arrived that we've been preparing, ready for Christmas sales. We've had a really busy time last few weeks with teaching and that sort of thing. I'm halfway through working on this big cedar for a customer. We're going to bring you a video on that shortly, but I'm just taking a little break from that today. It's just Friday afternoon. Just got a little bit of time to have a fiddle about with something before the weekend. Bought these little dwarf cedars, Cypriot Cedar, Cedar brevifolia. There's a cedar with the smallest, shortest needle, and we had some nursery stock arrive last week, and I just put 5 of these on just to see what they were like. They've been intriguing me. We've had them here for a week now. This one's got a nice bit of movement to it. This one here's got a little bit of movement in the trunk, look. So's this one. This one's a bit straight and boring, but the trunk is still a little bit flexible on them. And I've had them in the studio for a week, and I'd like to just do something with them. So I'm just going to take you along for the journey, and let's just see what we can find to do with them. And I've had them in here with the idea of perhaps putting them together as a group, but like a kind of like a bit of a sparse kind of literati group, the sort of trees that you might find growing on like a coastal region. Like I say, I haven't really got a clue what these are like root wise. So these are bare root, look, but these have obviously only recently, beginning of this year, come out of a 9cm pot. So for bonsai use, it's not amazing, but it's not too bad. It does mean that we've got quite a compact root system. So these were probably 9cm liners that were then planted out into the field for this year, and they've then sent some exploratory roots out. So I'm just wondering what they can actually give us. I do like working with cedars, as you know, so whenever I order some nursery stock, I get a few included in the shipment, and sometimes they're quite nice and good, and sometimes the grafts aren't very neat on them, and they're not so good. You never really know. So these have turned up. I'll just fiddle about with them and have a look and see what we've got. I'm just trying to trim off some of these little fluffy bits at the start of the branches. Obviously that's a more defined branch there, and then we've got another one here that we could use. Just nip that off a little bit, and then this little wispy bit here and here, and then we've got branches here that are usable, some that aren't so usable. That bit there's growing up too much, that's too spindly. See if I can trim away up one and see what it's like. A little bit of growth off here. That's going down a bit too much. Nip these tips off like this. A little bit off here, just here. As I work my way up, get to about here. So just trying to neaten it up, tidy it up a little bit, and we don't want to keep all the top of this, all the height. So we've got a nice bit of movement here coming up. Let's, for instance, take the top down to here. We can come up, this is a top, this is a top. Just shorten those back like that, something like that, and into here, like that. And maybe that's that's now a more usable tree than we had before. Maybe some of these are a little bit long, lower down. A little bit too much fluffy growth up here. So again, where we've got these main branches, just neatening that up a little bit. That one there we probably don't need, and this one here, and that one there that's coming out. Just nip that back, nip these back. This is a bit of a funny branch coming out and like hooking over there like that. We might be able to use it for now, depending on how we put them together, particularly if we're doing them as a group, because if we're putting them together as a group or something, we're looking at the collective arrangement rather than an individual tree. So with a little bit of pruning, we'd have to do something to comb these roots out a little bit, because these have been growing in that sort of square formation. So we can just comb these out just to see what the base of the trunk's doing. Like this, look. Here, this root here is a bit high up on this side. Can you see the soil level was here? But as we've combed it out, we're now down to here. So this root here, and get a finger underneath that. So this root here will come off. And then let's just neaten this up. This root here is going upwards. This one. This one. So that root there as well is too high up. So that's got a better root system. Nipped back like this. We've gained a bit more extra trunk. So front of a tree could be in here, for instance. Make an elegant tree with a little bit of movement, wiggle through here, up here to the apex. So I'm going to do this sort of work now to the others, and then well, you can come back in a little while and I'll show you them once we've got them to this sort of stage. Okay, so welcome back. When I left you, I was just working on the first tree. Can't remember which one it was now, but I've done the others, given them a bit of a trim. Some of these that are a bit straight, I thought I might want to put some movement in this upper section potentially, so we put a bit of, I've got a bit of wire on a couple of them. Some of them have got a little bit of movement in the tops already, so they're not too bad. And I thought of that, I thought these would look nice if I got them together as like some sort of group planting like this would be interesting. But then I've had another idea, Friday afternoon idea. I was wondering about looking for a pot. When I went looking for a pot, I found this piece of rock. So this was an artificial piece of rock, man-made, but we've had it like, we probably had this piece of rock 40 years, and it's got all moss and stuff growing on it. So I've got a primitive Nanban style handmade pot, and I've just wired it in so that it's got some stability. So now my thought was, because I found this bit of rock, is whether I can get these in here and try and get these in as part of a rock planting feature, just be a little bit different. And yeah, I fancied doing something a little bit different, a little bit more creative, just before the weekend. So that's what we're on with at the moment. So I've ended up getting what we've got these 5 trees here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to get some compost into the bottom of the pot first of all, and then we'll have a go at try and position some of these trees in. So let's start off getting some basic bonsai compost mixture around the rock, and then we'll see if we can get creative for 10 minutes or something and put this together. So something like that. Let's have a look, see where we are with stuff. So we need a pair of scissors here. Now, so the front of the rock is in here, and like I say, we've just wired it in. We'll hide this wire with some soil and moss or everything, so I'm not so bothered about that. And then let's grab some more tools. So this has got a bit of movement to it, this tree. When we looked at these earlier, there's 2 or 3 that have got a bit of a wiggle to them, and there's a couple that are a bit boring. So I'm going to try and start off with the more interesting ones, because it'd be better if we used the interesting ones at the front of the arrangement, and then potentially use the others to the rear. So my thought is, with this one, I don't want it to be the same height as the rock. It's really got to be higher or lower. It can't really be higher because I can't stretch it, but I could wiggle it down a bit more, and I could reduce the top down to perhaps here if we needed to. And I've took that branch off here that was getting in the way against the rock, and then this branch here is growing up too much. So why don't we leave that there a minute, get a little piece of wire. I've somehow managed to shuffle myself down the bench so I'm further away from me, some tools and wire. So if we just get that piece in here, It's a bit more tricky to wire these once they're loose and out of pots, but we can just get the start of a wire through the foliage like that to bring that down, and then the other piece, look, can we get it through here? Like that. So, and then we said it was a bit too tall, didn't we? So if I get it, the only way I can make it short is to plant it right down. So let's see where we are if we plant it down on the base, at the base of the pot, and we're bringing these branches down here to fill in. Some of these want a bit more length on them, ideally. So these are quite young trees, they want a couple of years to fill out and for the branches to develop, but I think it might be quite a cool arrangement. If we got that in somewhere like that, and then we've got a little bit of movement, maybe twist it around like this. That's that branch that was a bit awkward before, Josh, where we said it was coming out the side. Maybe have that like this and bring this one round and like that, and then these low ones, not sure this one's adding anything, so maybe take this one here off. Might leave that little one for now, and then the top we could wire this branch just quick, just like that, and then can we bring this one down? Can't go to that one that's opposite, but might have to just bring this wire down and then take out a little bit of this growth at the origin of this branch, so we can get a little bit of wire around here like so. Nice contour with this tree, following the rock. I don't think we need that branch. This one potentially is getting a bit too long, so let's shorten that back. And then the top here, at least, is below that apex, isn't it? So that works a bit better if we keep it nipped down like this. We've got the potential, we could cut it down to this one, but I'll keep it at that height for now. Shorten this back a little bit. I'm just thinking this would be a nice arrangement to do, and maybe to have around the nursery for people to see. There's another branch there. We can perhaps tuck that through there, find somewhere for that to live. Let's have a little look what these other trees are giving us. So this one's got a nice bit of movement as well. This one was quite a tall straight one, so potentially that might be one that we could keep at the back somewhere, because that's not quite so interesting. If we had it like that, there's not much on this side of this tree, look. So if we were planting this together into a group, now this wouldn't really make a single trunk tree, or not at the stage it's at now. We've got a lot on this side, not much on this side. So if we were to flip it around like this, and then if we then just got rid of a few of these anyway, and we shortened these branches back, it might make a nice arrangement. We get it in here potentially, so it bolsters this side a little bit. We can see the trunk a little bit more. I want it to be about there. So I've got a bit of conflict with this branch here. Take that off. This one here that's growing towards the rock. This one here. Those two fluffy bits there. Something like that. Ooh. And then hold it in here. Get some more compost around it, and then this upper section that's wired, bend it to the back a little bit and then forward, and then tweak this round like this and over here and up, maybe something like that. Try and take off this one, that branch there from here. I'm just going to get a little bit of wire onto this branch, a little bit chunky, so I'm just going to get a wire along there, just through the foliage a little bit like so, and then we're just going to wire that just loosely onto the top of that rock, just to make it a bit easy for me to deal with at the moment. That rock, that doesn't have to stay there, but it stops it falling out for now. And bring the top of this forward. So let's have a look at these others. So this has got a nice bit of movement to it. It's going to have more height to it than the others. I don't know if I need it. I don't know if I want it to have more height. So here, there's a little planting pocket in the rock just here. Look, well, my finger is here. So if we get it in there, you know, they've got quite compact root ball. Then we could lose this branch, couldn't we? And we could lose this one. And it would sit in here quite well and then arc out. That might be a possibility. Or you get it kicking out this way and back in. Put some movement in the top of it. This one here. That sits quite nice because this flows up quite nicely to the top. I think that one is a bit better than this one for that job. And then could we get a little bit of wire on those branches? On this one here. Got quite a few cedars in my collection, but not really got a brevifolia. They're hard to find. I've had a couple in the past, but we're lucky to find these as nursery stock trees. Oh, a little bit on here, around this branch. Like that. And then take off that lump of root we had there. See if we can get it planted into that planting pocket like this. It'd have to sit in there like that, and then I'd have to bring this one forward, sweeping in like that. Oh, pity we can't get this one over there, but that one can come down, drift it into there a little bit, and then the top, this starts to just kick round. That's quite nice as that is, like that. Let's see if we can take that root off that's a bit springy, and then fashion these roots around this rock here, so these will start to grow down into that soil from here and here. Mound that up a little bit, make sure we get this root down in to start to fill out and grow in here. Lean it back a little bit like that. That works quite well. See it coming together nicely. So then we've got these two left. Let's have a little look at them. So we've got, this one's a little bit shorter. That's a taller one of the two. So really, I want the taller one maybe in here. This is the more boring one of the two. So we could have this here. And this one, I'd like to give this a bit more width, so that could work well just like that, couldn't it? This, or like that. How about like this? Might look a bit interesting. If we got that in there like that, then this comes up quite nice. We could wire these round, and then we could lose this branch here. Obviously we're going to keep this branch, bring that round, but then we won't want this to be quite so tall. So if we shortened it to there, so that this became, the top, that would work well. So if we get a little bit of wire, let's get a little bit of wire on that. So we'll start wire here, do that section, just come up here, onto this one, through here, move a bit of foliage out of the way, just wiggle that wire along like so, back down to this one. Quite flexible to wire cedars, quite easy to manipulate and shape the branches of them when they're this sort of thickness. Little bit of trim of the roots, and then I want to get a wire on that branch there before that goes in. Let's see if we can get a wire on this one here. So that shoot there, and then following up the trunk, we're going to be through here, around here, and up onto this one here. Back down to here. I think at this stage what I'm just trying to do is wire some of the main branches that have got a bit of length to them. In reality, I could not wire any of them. We could just get it established on here, come back to them in a couple of years' time. They're still going to be flexible, but some of these ones with a little bit of length, it's nice to get them tucked into position now. And then in a few years' time, these shorter ones will have grown out, and we can work with those as well. So back to this one, look, where we're going to plant it in here. Get rid of this opposite branch, because it doesn't look very good. So we muttered about having it like this. We've got a little bit of wire in there for when we fasten the rock in. So if I can get this one underneath that wire, we can just make it a little bit lower down. Okay, so we've started off with this one, which is the nicest tree with movement, and then I've got one in over here. Then we've done that third one. We've put that fourth one in, I've tucked it behind, leaning out. I'm happy with the way these work together, height-wise. This one, might want to bring the height down a little bit in future, so it's a bit dissimilar to this one, or maybe grow this one up a little bit. And then it leaves me with this one, which has got a bit of movement, a bit of a dog leg here. I've put some movement in the top. Now, there's two options I think with this one. The first option is you perhaps have it here on the side, because you're giving more visual weight to this side on the left than the composition is from the left to the right. But the trouble with that is, this is a nice tree. As I said before, I'm going to grow these branches out here, so I think in a couple of years' time this will have enough. So the other thing, I put this at the back. So if this was a group planting, of 5 trees, you'd have 1 or 2 of the small ones at the back to give you a sense of depth and perspective. Now it's a bit different with this because we've got a big lump of rock in the middle. So you're sort of putting them at the back, but you're really not going to see them. So it's going to have to be, but if I want it's at the back, it's got to be at the back on like that side, you know, not like over here. See, if I put that here, that unbalances it. We've got 2 and 3. So we've got more dominance on this side, and I want it to be on that side. So I'm thinking about putting this one in here. So I've got a little planting pocket here. If I can get this close, and I've got a little bit of a gap here. So if I can get it down into here, and oh, look at that, just kind of slots into a little spot there. But I'm not saying that's right. Let's put it in there. Let's have a look from the front. Now, from the dead straight front where I've put it in, you just can't see it at all, which is pointless. So let's see if I can keep it here. But if I can get, I did wire this upper section. I'm not sure if it's heavy enough. I think it probably is. If we get some pliers on that wire, keep that in there, and then twist this into here and bring this section over and then up like that. So we're happy with how that fits in there quite snugly. Oh, so now that is starting to, we are starting to see a bit of that from this side, but I think the best front is round here. So can we just get this top, bring it over with some pliers, twist it round and make that the front. We can take off that little bit of growth in there that we don't need, where it's conflicting. We could get a little bit of a wire. I think that's long enough. Yeah, get a little bit of wire. Doesn't have to look pretty. Just get a little bit of wire around this rock, just to secure this. Pull this in. Take that out. Just to stop that moving around. Something like this. Let's move the top again. Move it back to where it should be. Somewhere in there. Takes a bit of persuading, but they are quite flexible. So something like that. Bit more compost around the base of these. Firm that in. Need to go and get some moss and bits and pieces to make that look right. But that one is coming over into there quite nicely now. And I say I ordered these trees blind just off a list. They were just classed as 80 to 100 centimetre Cedar brevifolia. That's the only information I had about them, and I thought I'll take a little gamble on them. And I think I probably might get some more. Whether I get them and style them as individual trees, most probably I will. But I've just had these in here all week. I've been doing one-to-one tuition and introductory bonsai courses. So I spent the week working on other people's trees while I've been staring at these, and that's why now on Friday afternoon I've thought to myself, I'm going to treat myself, going to work on something of mine, and got a little bit of, felt a little bit creative, thought we'd do something a little bit different. I don't think we've done a video like this so much, of doing a rock planting sort of arrangement from scratch. So I thought it might be nice, something to show you, and it might be a nice tree to to have on display here at the nursery for those of you that visit to come and see. So I'm just going to have a think about that for now. I'll come back in a little while and I'll show you it when it's all mossed and all finished. Thank you very much. Hello, welcome back. We went moss collecting the other day, managed to get some nice green moss to finish off this rock planting arrangement for you. So here it is, the front towards you, and I put a bit of gravel through this centre section because you can see through the rock here. This is like a gorge, gives the impression of like a dry riverbed, so I've decided to use gravel rather than akadama. And then we've gravelled around the edge as we've drifted the moss down towards the edge of the pot. This is just bringing it round to the rear of the composition so you can see, and back round to the front. So this was somebody today asked me about this as to how long it took, and it took about, I think about 30 to 40 minutes to put it all together, and then I spent 10 minutes a day mossing it. We're looking forward to seeing how it progresses over the next couple of years as these branches develop. A lot of these are quite small at the moment. The next few years, as these grow out and fill out, and we do some additional wiring on some of these secondary branches, it should be an interesting thing to see and to follow. And for those of you visiting the nursery here at Greenwood Bonsai, it will be out on display. So if you want to come and have a look at it, then feel free. And I shall just leave it spinning and leave you to look at it and see what you think. Give us a comment. Thank you very much. Take care.